Hello, this video is really just to continue exploring what does a feminine voice in law mean, and I just wanted to draw together a few different strands of thought that help me articulate and understand this better. So I'm just going to read a short piece from Women Awakening by Sarah Nasra Bertrand, where they talk about when they say, one of the paradigm shifting conclusions reached by feminine depth psychologists' work of the last century is that the deepest root consciousness in humans, what psychologists call this unconscious psyche, holds a feminine maternal vibration. And this feminine consciousness is the womb and mother of the conscious masculine cerebral mind. In other words, the magical, non-linear womb of the unconscious mind is primary. It comes first both in our personal development as a baby and in the evolution of life on the planet, just in the same way that black holes birth stars. Only later does this primordial consciousness, rooted in darkness, give birth to the logical, thinking, rational mind. This quote really helps me to better understand the problem with our legal systems and laws and the transformation that is needed. I don't think anyone would argue that our legal systems and laws, around the world, have been developed by the logical thinking, rational mind, the legal systems that we have today. There's a great book called The Ecology of Law, Toward a Legal System in Tune with Nature and Community, by Fritjof Capra and Hugo Mattei. And I just want to read something short from chapter 1 of that book, where they say, jurisprudence, the theory of law, together with science, has contributed significantly to the mechanistic worldview. In science, the mechanistic paradigm that began in the 16th and 17th centuries includes an emphasis on quantification introduced by Galileo Galilei and on the human domination of nature, championed by Francis Bacon. The view of the material world as a machine separate from the mind, advanced by René Descartes, Isaac Newton's concept of objective, unchangeable laws of nature, and a rationalist, atomistic view of society promoted by John Locke. In jurisprudence, which is the theory of law, the rationalist mechanistic paradigm developed by 17th century jurists like Hugo Grotius and Jane Doma views reality as an aggregate of discrete definable components, owners whose individual rights are protected by the state. Indeed, ownership and state sovereignty, respectively championed by John Locke and Thomas Hobbes, are the two organising principles of legal modernity. Moreover, in the Cartesian tradition, the law is seen as an objective framework separate from the individual subject. So I know that's probably a lot, but I just wanted to emphasise the fact that the law has been developed from this kind of rational, logical mind, this masculine consciousness, without consideration for where that mind comes from, the deeper source of that mind. And it has become vastly disconnected from that source. As Albert Einstein says, the intuitive mind is a sacred gift, the rational mind is the faithful servant. We've created a society that honours the servant and has forgotten the gift. And I know there's something else short from Peter Gabel's book, The Desire for Mutual Recognition, Social Movements and the Dissolution of the False Self. Peter Gabel is a law professor and co-chair of the Project for Integrating Spirituality, Law and Politics in the US. And this is a great book spanning many of those subjects. But one of the things he says that I just think it's a really succinct way of describing it, he says, ideology saturates all of the discourses in alienated society insofar as the discourses intend to legitimate the world as alienated against the world as longed for. Therefore, while we could begin with the ideological dimension of science or psychology or medicine or philosophy, I will begin with the law, because it is the most explicitly legitimating of the status quo, and because it plays the special role of stating as law who human beings are and how we are bound to each other. So it just feels like, for me, this emphasizes how important the subject is about discussing the feminine voice in law and the feminine dimension in law. I mean, currently you could say there is no feminine dimension in terms of, what I was speaking about, the deeper source, the deeper dimension, or there's no acknowledgement. Of course it is there, it's always there, but it's suppressed or it's not acknowledged. And it just emphasizes how important this is, because law is, as Peter Gabel says, the most explicitly legitimating of the status quo. It is telling us who we are and how we are bound together. And currently our laws are emphasizing a separate, individualistic, mechanistic framework. And so it is exacerbating our dilemma of separation, rather than helping us heal. I suppose that's what I want to say. So yeah, I mean, this is just a short video to also help me articulate these thoughts and explore them more fully. So thank you for listening, and to be continued.